Alright guys, welcome back. So today, we are going to be stepping into my first video of the series that I talked about in my Why Christianity is Stupid video, Modern Christianity anyways, and explained at the end of the video that I was going to be doing a discipline video, because that ultimately is what Christianity is all about. Disciplining yourself, disciplining the flesh, fleeing from lusts, and I'm going to show you through scripture exactly how you do this, because it does actually outline how you discipline yourself, not just what you should discipline, but how you discipline. Okay, so I think I kind of went over some of this in the last video that we did on this stuff, but I'm going to start here real quick, because this is Paul kind of trying to explain to the Romans how just because grace abounds in the new covenant, that does not mean that the Torah is done away with. But he says some things in here that is kind of important. For I was alive without the Torah once, here in verse 9. But when the mitzvah came, mitzvah being commandments, sin revived and I died. And that commandment, which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death. So the Torah actually is life in and of itself, because it's just a fabric of reality, but because of our sinful nature, we found it to be unto death. For sin, taking occasion of the commandments by the mitzvah, deceived me, and it slew me. Wherefore the Torah is holy, and that mitzvah holy and just and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? Never. So in other words, the Torah wasn't created to make us sinful. It was created to literally show us the outlines as to how reality works in terms of morality, the law that governs morality. It's just that sin, that it might appear as sin, works death through that which is good. For we know that the Torah is of the Spirit, is of the Ruach, but I am carnal, trafficked by sin. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that I do not. But what I hate, that do I. So in other words, he's starting to go into the condition of how this affects man. Okay, which is, even though now I wish to do good, I cannot. And that which I hate to do, I still do it. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwells in me. And this is an important statement, because from the Christian purview, from the Christian perspective, who we see in the mirror and who we even perceive ourselves to be in our mind is not actually who we are, because those things are not eternal. It is our spirit that dwells in us which is eternal. And therefore, when proclamations of identity is made in the New Testament, when it's talking about I, myself, it's usually in reference to the spirit man, which is eternal. So when he's saying that it is no longer I that does it, he's saying it is no longer this spiritual man within me that is doing these things, that wants these things. That man that is eternal, that spirit that is eternal, is now righteous and pure. It does not want to do these things, so therefore it is now just the sin that dwells in him. For I know that in me, that is, in my flesh, dwells no good thing. See, I like how he makes the distinction that in me. When I say me, please understand I'm talking about my flesh and not my spirit. Dwells no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I find not. For the good that I would do, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do. So as you can see, he's setting up what it's like to be without grace. What it would be like from the perspective of someone without Yahusha, without the new covenant. For I delight in the Torah of Elohim after the inward man. So this is another more language that's used in the New Testament. Inward man is another word or another way of describing the spirit, the eternal. But I see another law in my members, warring against the Torah of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. Who shall deliver me from this body of death? I thank Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach. So then with the mind, I myself serve the Torah of Elohim, but with the flesh, the law of sin. Alright, so the way this works, let's say over here you got the spirit. It's ugly. Okay, so here you've got spirit. This travels upward to the soul. Now, of course, soul is interchangeable with mind, with thoughts, with will. And then that goes down to the body. Excuse my retarded handwriting. Okay, this goes down to the body. Romans 7:23 says, I see another law warring in my members, against the Torah of my mind, and bringing me into captivity of the law of sin, which is in my members. Members, Torah of the mind, right? Mind. So, as you can see here, the body is capable of sending messages to the soul, to the mind. The mind is capable of listening to these messages and sending messages back out through the body, through the flesh. So this is a two-way street here. The body can influence the mind, and the mind can listen to what the body is influencing it to do, and listen to it, and then sin, decisions, action comes out through the body. Also, to go back and look, Romans 7:14 said, we know that the Torah is of the Ruach, of the Spirit. Okay, so Torah is of the Spirit. Okay, so when he says, for I delight in the Torah of Elohim after the inward man. Okay, so you got the Torah, which is of the Spirit, and how he delights in the Torah of Elohim after the inward man. So he's literally trying to explain to you, like, look, there's a three-part equation going on here. Okay, and now this is where things get really interesting. Okay, so here we start getting messages of not walking after the flesh, but walking after the Ruach. For the Torah of the Ruach has made me free from the law of sin and death. For what was impossible under the law for flesh to do, Elohim did in sending his own son. So the body was once incapable, it was impossible, of following the Torah. Why? Because Torah is spirit. Torah is of the Spirit. And unfortunately, all three of our being, right, the triune being which we are made of, was completely sinful in the Old Testament. This was sending messages. The old spirit man used to be corrupt and would send messages of corruptness to the soul. Okay, the soul being corrupted by both spirit and also getting messages of corruption through the body. The soul, the mind, had nothing righteous to be able to truly focus on. It was incapable of doing so because it had two signals of corruption being delivered from the only two places that can send it signals. Now, things are different because Elohim, because Yahuwah sent Yahusha. This is now perfected. Okay, this is where the new covenant takes place. The entire New Testament and the magic of it is in the renewing of this. Okay, and if your spirit is renewed and the Torah is spirit, the Torah now resides within the inner man. Let's continue on, because there is a lot. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Ruach, the things of the Ruach, things of the Spirit. So, again, going back to our demonstration, they that mind things of the flesh. Go after the things of the flesh. They mind the things of the flesh. So this one scripture makes it abundantly clear that you can focus your mind in one of two ways. You can either mind the things of the flesh, which is still corrupt, or you can mind the things of the spirit, which is really a one-way street, because your spirit isn't sinful. It doesn't need to take commands to obey you, right? Because this is where the Father in Yahusha lives now. He abides here. Okay, so this doesn't need to take command from you now. This is perfect. So the only thing this is doing is sending messages upwards to the mind. Now you can tune into that, mind the things that are after the Ruach, after the Spirit, or you can be carnally minded and mind the things of the body. Let's keep going. For to be carnally minded is death. This is 8:6, verse right after it. But to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Okay, so you can see it there. Be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against Elohim, for it is not subject to the Torah of Elohim, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Elohim. Okay, so here's another good one. This I say then, walk in the Ruach, and you shall not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Ruach, and the Ruach against the flesh. And these are contrary to one another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Okay, so this is a big one, right? These two right here are constantly at war with each other. They are contrary to each other. The flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. These are contrary to one another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. This one scripture right here literally tells you that this is a three-part connect the dot system. These are contrary to each other and don't even really communicate with each other. They're just at war with each other, right? And the only mediator that we have between these two that can make these two work with each other is up here, right? Because this ultimately decides what's going to be listened to in this war. You see why this is important? Why thoughts are important? Why the mind is actually the most important battle of the disciplines. Now that we've got this kind of explained and you can kind of see it here, let's go through and explain to you how. Okay, so look guys, this is one of those scriptures that we have heard as Christians repeated 14 trillion million times. But now, look, see this differently from how you have always been told to read this. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim, of Yahuwah. The discipline here is to not conform your mind to the ideas and the philosophies of this world, to the things of this world, to the desires of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you can prove what is good, acceptable, and the perfect will of Elohim. Put ye on the Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. So you'll see this a couple of different times. What the scripture is trying to say is to put on the mind of Yahushua HaMashiach and make not provision for the flesh. So be thoughtful. Put on the mind of Yahusha and be thoughtful, be mindful not to make provisions for the flesh. To give you an example, what this one in particular is talking about, what it's looking like not giving provision for the flesh. Let's say you're a gambler right? Let's say gambling for whatever reason is a problem for you. Not making provisions for the flesh would be to tell yourself, like, okay, I'm just not allowed to go down to the strip. I'm not allowed to go down to the gambling hall. I'm not allowed to go sit on the fish tables. Whatever the hell it might be. I'm not allowed to go buy scratch-offs. Or you got to mentally prepare yourself to stay away from that which even causes lust in the first place. You know, if your thing is women, it's a big thing for a lot of men. We'll cover that topic eventually, because that's something a lot of modern Christianity also gets wrong. You know, if your thing is sleeping around with a bunch of women, fulfilling the lusts of sexual immorality. Nowadays, you know, bimbos are really easy. So it's incredibly easy to fulfill that side of lust, to fulfill that desire of the flesh. So what do you do to not make provisions for it? To be thoughtful of it, right? You tell yourself, okay, as much as I might want to, I'm not going to go downtown anymore. I'm not going to go drinking downtown anymore, right? You have to be thoughtful. You have to think ahead. You have to be mindful of the things that even trip you up in the first place, and make no provision in your mind to even allow yourself to be in the situation to do those things. Another really big one that pastors love to throw around but not really explain the importance of. Colossians 3:2. Set your affection on things above, not on things of the earth. Right? Set your mind on heavenly things, not on earthly things. And Christians oftentimes use this scripture to try and say something stupid, like, you need to be like thinking about what's going on in heaven. Don't think about what's happening here on earth. Think about what's happening in heaven. I've heard a lot of stupid takes like that, and it's like, no, that's not what that means, right? Because Torah is spirit, and He abides in us. So to set your mind on things above, when, you know, the Christian looks at this as like, well, He's sitting in the throne room, which is above me. So to set your mind on things above is to like set your mind on the throne room because He's in there. It's like, no, you are the temple now. So to set your mind on things above is literally to be focusing on Him who abides in you, not on earthly things. Set your mind on things above, right? Him who abides in you now, not on earthly things. You see how all of this, it constantly comes back to this. There is no getting around this in the Christian New Covenant. There's no getting around this. Okay, let's keep going. That's good. Let's go to Philippians. Philippians is a good book. Here, right here in verse 5. What does that say? What does that say? Let me zoom in on it for it. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Mashiach Yahusha. I'm going to set that. I'm going to leave that for a second, because I need you guys to understand that we have grown up in modern Christianity, which has taught us repeatedly that we're stupid, dumb, useless sinners, and that we're worthless, and that by the skin of our teeth, by the grace of Yahusha, are we saved. And we are going to continue sucking in this life because we're stupid, sucky, retarded sinners. And you know, you just gotta embrace the suck. And it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Look, it literally says right here, he's pleading with you, let this mind be in you, which was also in Yahusha. We literally have the ability to put on the mind of Yahusha. We're literally capable of having the same thought processes by being as stoic, by being as thoughtful, by being as kind as Yahusha. We can put His mind on. So let's go down to 3:15. I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling of Elohim and Mashiach Yahusha. Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. And if in anything ye be otherwise minded, Elohim shall reveal even this unto you. Nevertheless, whereto we have already obtained, let us walk by the same rule. Let us mind the same thing. Guys, the soul is the battle of Christianity. And it even says right here, let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. And if you're not perfect minded, and your mind is somewhere else other than where it should be, Elohim, Yahuwah, shall reveal even this unto you. Let's go right here to 19. Whose end is destruction, whose Elohim is their belly, right? Their lusts, their desires, their flesh. Whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. But you see here that if you mind these earthly things, if you mind your glory, right? As a man nowadays, glory is status, right? Caring about your status, caring about what others think, worrying, making your desires, your affections, your hunger, right? This one uses belly, but making your desires your God. Your end is destruction. So let's go to Philippians 4:7. The peace of Elohim, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Yahushua HaMashiach. So even our minds, even our even our mind, which is now capable of focusing on things of the Spirit, even still the peace of Yahuwah, it passes all understanding. You can't understand this. But anyways, it shall keep our hearts and minds. Heart and mind are interchangeable, guys. Hearts and minds in Scripture are interchangeable. Interchangeable language through Yahushua HaMashiach. So here's the instruction. So up until this point, I have been showing you guys how this triune system that we have by which things communicate with each other is basically how the new covenant operates. And I've been telling you this whole time that this is the key. This is where the battle takes place. So to control this is to win the game. Here is how you do it. Instruction through Scripture. You ready? Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, pure, lovely, things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Think on good things. I know the question then becomes, well, what things are true? How do we know what truth is? What things are honest? What things are just? What things are pure? What things are lovely? What things are of good report? What things are virtuous? Right? What are these things that we are supposed to be thinking on? Oh, you know what? Real quick, I just want to show you guys. Before we move on to some of the other scriptures that can give instruction, I just want you to see that I'm not cherry picking verses here. That this is, in fact, the battle that we have to deal with, right? 4:4. In whom the El of this world, an El, Elohim, mighty one, right? The mighty one of this world. So it's talking about Satan. You see how it's lowercase. The El of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious Basora of Mashiach, who is the image of Elohim, should shine unto them. So you see here, like, most people have their minds blinded by Satan, so that the image of Elohim cannot shine upon them. The knowledge, the understanding cannot shine within their mind. And there's a reason that that's a mind thing. I'll get into that because it's actually a parable that Yahusha spoke at one point. But here's more instruction. Here's how you do it. And this one right here is probably one of the biggest ones, man. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Elohim to the pulling down of strongholds. Okay, we do this by casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Elohim. You're bringing into captivity. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see it, and I'm going to highlight it. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Elohim, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach. You see how this isn't? This is present tense action. These are verbs that are being used here. This is something that you must constantly do. And you have to understand, this is personal instruction here, okay? This isn't instruction as to how the church should deal with society. This isn't instruction on how the church should war against the spiritual realm or any of that nonsense, okay? This is personal introspection. This is personal instruction that is given here. Okay, you cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Elohim. Not Elohim himself, but against the knowledge of Elohim. You bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach, to the obedience of Yahusha. I mean, that's a big one, man. He's literally telling you that the key to all of this, right? The key to controlling your mind is to control the imagination. By controlling the imagination, you can bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach. Now, what is this casting down imaginations? What does bringing your imagination into captivity actually look like? Well, let me give you an example that I think most of us men can probably relate to. Our sexual urges are a really, really hard thing to control for men. Why? Because it plays at the imagination so hard and so relentlessly, constantly bombarding the brain with messages to please relieve me, please think of these things. How does it do that? I mean, the way, at least for me personally, man, anytime I've ever been horny in my life, some beautiful woman is being conjured up in my brain to think about. Whether it's a woman from your past that you vividly know the details of her body, or whether it's a woman that you know in your personal life and want to be sexually immoral with, the imagination does a great deal to conjure up these scenarios like a Hollywood movie, and everything perfectly align within that so that way you can smash. And to cast down that imagination, to bring that thought into captivity, you have to understand that you ultimately have power over the direction by which the script of your imagination plays out. If the script ends with you in bed with this beautiful woman, you need to rewrite the script before you reach that scene. You need to now tell the script that it's going to end with you telling this woman to get the hell out of my sight. You need to start imagining a level of sternness towards these things that you don't want in your imagination. And I know, let's say you're thinking right now, okay, I understand what you're saying, but how do I know when something in my imagination is just or good or pure? Easy, man. I got you, because there's so many scriptures that talk about this. I'm gonna start you guys out in Deuteronomy, man. It's crazy, but look. Okay, guard yourselves that... Okay, so I'm starting... Therefore shall ye lay up these, my words, in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as a frontlet between your eyes. Okay, so this is after... So he's talking about Torah here, guys. Okay? He's talking about Torah. And he's saying, lay them up in your heart and in your soul. Bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. So he's literally saying here, like, you meditate on Torah, basically. Meditate on them enough to where they're in your heart and in your soul. This sefer of the Torah shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may guard to do according to all that is written therein. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success. Like it's even telling you, you're going to live a good life if you meditate therein day and night. So, and look, I love how this is a step-by-step, right? Right? Talk on things of the Torah, meditate on them day and night, and by doing so, you may guard to do according to all that is written therein. And by doing that, then you shall make your way prosperous and have good success. So meditating on Torah. You meditate on Torah. And when I'm talking Torah, guys, we're mostly talking about the 10 Commandments here. Meditate on them, ponder them, what they might mean to you personally, and how you need to control yourself to do those things. If you do that, if you meditate on that, your ways will be prosperous and you'll have good success. Yeshayahu 26:3. You will guard him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. It's even in the first book of Psalms, 1-2. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seats of the scornful. But his delight is in the Torah of Yahuwah, and in his Torah he meditates day and night. Meditate on Torah. Meditate on it. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bring forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. I love it, because it's even talking about bringing forth fruit. This is an analogy that is used repeatedly by Yahusha much later, and people are scratch their heads at it and go, huh? What are you talking about producing fruit? They just couldn't understand, and this is something that they literally listened to in song consistently. Psalms 119:15. I will meditate in your precepts and have respect unto your ways. I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. Look, he even says here, open my eyes that I may behold wondrous things out of your Torah. I'm a stranger in the earth. Hide not your commandments from me. See what I'm saying? Like, it's all about meditation on Torah, on the commandments, on his precepts, to such a degree that you find yourself to be a stranger in the earth. Why would you be a stranger in the earth? Because people of the earth are not focused on heavenly things. What are heavenly things? Torah, the commandments. And again, this goes back to the first video where it's like, there's like between 30 to 50 verses in the New Testament that talk about, if you love me, you will follow my commandments. In this video, I'm telling you that by following the commandments, you control your thoughts. If you can control your thoughts and cast down imaginations and bring every thought into captivity, you control the body. The spirit is flowing upward through the soul. Why? Because you're focused on Torah, which the spirit is sending the message to thoughts, through to the mind. See? Focus on Torah, right? This message, Spirit is sending you messages of Torah because it's written on your heart, right? It's sending you messages to your soul, to your mind. And if you meditate on those things, if if you meditate on Torah, if you meditate on that which is pure, that which is holy, that which is good, you have, this is now two beings, two parts of your triune being that are aligned with each other. You see now how two that are in alignment are going to overpower the one. Now, do you see also why it works in reverse? Those who are carnally minded cannot fulfill the Ruach, right? Because two overpowers one. Let's continue on. 1:19. Look, in the same chapter. Oh, how I love your Torah. It is my meditation all the day. You, through your commandments, have made me wiser than my enemies. I have more understanding than all of my teachers. For your testimonies are my meditation. I understand more than the ancients because I guard your precepts. See what I'm saying? Do you see? Like they're literally walking you through what happens when you begin meditating on Torah. You begin understanding more than the ancients. Your feet refrain from evil. Become wiser than your enemies. You have more understanding than your teachers. If you meditate on the commandments, right? This is why it kills me. It kills me that Christians don't understand this, man. But this is how you renew. This is how your mind is transformed by the renewing of it. This is how it's renewed. Okay? You focus on what the Spirit is telling you, which is Torah. Torah is Ruach, because Torah is the Word, and the Word is Yah. So if Torah resides in the Spirit, and Yahuwah resides in your spirit, and these two are sending the message to the brain to please focus on me. Focus on my word. This is what happens when you do. These two align, start ignoring this. Well, it's not even that they start ignoring this. It's that these two start flowing outwardly through the body. Literally, it becomes obvious to everyone around you. I don't know what it is, but there's something different about that guy. He's controlled, he's stoic, he's dangerous, but like at the same time, he's incredibly controlled, meek, temperate. Okay, here's another good one from Psalms. Not necessarily about the commandments per se, but it's about how you kind of communicate with him about these things. 139:23. Search me, O Yahuwah, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. So like even this verse right here tells you that the key distinction between life and death, right, being able to live an everlasting life, is about removing wicked ways from your thoughts. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly go through some of these, because man, it's good ones. 4:23. This is one of my favorite scriptures. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. For out of it are the issues of life. 16:3. Commit your works unto Yahuwah, and your thoughts shall be established. Guys, look at that. It tells you again, that's the key. If you commit your works unto Yahuwah, your thoughts are established. It's really kind of funny because the Bible, by and large, is a giant book of connect the dot patterns that are scattered all over the place. And it really is a book that rewards the ability to recognize these patterns and the ability to connect these dots. Look, 23:7. Let's go on to 23:7. Look, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Eat not the bread of him that has an evil eye, neither desire his dainty meats. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. I mean, this is a powerful, powerful scripture. It doesn't look like it on the surface, but look at what this is actually saying. Whatever you think about yourself, that is what you are. That is your mind is, imagine like the steering wheel of a vehicle. Your vehicle, the vehicle is made up of a lot more components than just the steering wheel. However, the steering wheel is the only thing that dictates the direction that the entire vehicle is moving. You know what? I'll pull this one up because I do kind of like this one. I mean, because this particular scripture is going to be referenced several times throughout this series. Let's go to Job. Job 31:1. I cut a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? Right, so in one sentence, he's talking about discipline of the eyes, not even looking, discipline of the mind, and discipline over the body, which is, one of the disciplines of the body is sexual immorality. I cut a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? We'll get into discipline of the eyes and sexual immorality and all that stuff. I love it because he's literally showcasing to you that I'm not a divided man. The covenant that I cut with myself means more to me than what the flesh is asking of me. So I'm gonna go to the Wisdoms of Solomon. So this is a Wisdom of Solomon. This is an apocryphal book, but honestly, the reason why these books were excluded is kind of stupid, if I'm being completely honest. For the bewitching of wickedness obscures things that are honest, and the wandering of lustful desire undermines the simple mind. The bewitching of wickedness. It even obscures things that are honest. And I think this is ultimately why we have modern Christianity being the way that it is. It's a bewitching of wickedness that obscures things that are honest. And what is honest? The word. It undermines the simple mind. Look, he even says in verse 15, this the people saw and understood it not, neither laid they up this in their minds, that his grace and mercy is with his Kodashim, and that he has respect unto his chosen. Just so y'all can see, Kodashim is holy men, saints, set apart ones. But yeah, you see it right here, that this is a constant reoccurring thing with his people. That grace and mercy is being shown unto them, and that Yahuwah even has respect unto the people he shows grace and mercy to. But they have trouble laying it up in their minds and understanding it. Why? Because the Spirit, which is where Torah is even capable of residing, but Torah and Yahuwah cannot reside in an unclean spirit. This is a big one, man. This is a big one that in basically one single verse explains what I'm talking about. This is again apocryphal book, Ecclesiasticus, Syriac. Okay, so we're going to 637. Let your mind be upon the ordinances of Yahuwah, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish your heart and give you wisdom at your own desire. Let's say that again. Let your mind be upon the ordinances of Yahuwah, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish your heart and give you wisdom at your own desire. Man, that's a big one. From here, I'll finish it up after this, but I just want you guys to see 623. Matthew 6:23. Go through to directly the words of Yahusha himself. Mostly because I told you I would. I'm going to show you the light in the eye. Okay, I'll start at 6:20. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, whether neither moth nor rust do corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will be your heart also. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eye be evil, your whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you be darkness, how great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will hold to one and despise the other. If your eye is single, right? If your eye is unified, your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eye is evil, your whole body shall be full of darkness. So why is he talking about eyes here? How do eyes control what is evil on the inside? Well, your eye is the processor of your thoughts. It's what takes in information and perceives things in your brain. So to control the eye is to control the mind. And by controlling your mind, you are ultimately controlling the light that is within you and the light that is shown to others. So if the light that is in you is evil, or if your eye is evil, the light that is in you is going to be evil, going to be dark. So you see here, even Yahusha is giving instruction on controlling the mind. He's talking about you cannot serve Elohim and money. Money for men really truly is the root of all evil. Through money we seek to obtain status, we seek women, we seek drugs, we seek all sorts of things, all sorts of pleasurable things, because it allows us to afford more of those things. Most of the time in the Old and New Testament, really in the New Testament, when Yahusha is pointing out the struggle of men who are rich, he understands that people don't love the physical money itself. They love what the money can provide them, which is fulfillment of the lusts of the flesh. Right? So what is he really saying here? No man can serve two masters. He will hate the one and love the other, or he will hold to one and despise the other. You cannot serve Elohim and your flesh. Now look, there's tons of other scriptures. You know, I'm going to skip through. I'm just going to do one more. I'm going to do one more to really drive this home. I'm going to skip to Matthew 15:18. Those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceeds evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defiles not a man. So you see, he's even telling you that the heart, controlling the mind. If you control these things, you're controlling the thought of murder, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, blasphemies. You're controlling all forms of that which defiles the man. Okay, so that was an incredibly long video. Good grief. With that said, thanks for coming to the introduction to this series, because this is a big deal, man. This right here is something a lot of people don't understand, especially Christians. It's wild to me. But just to reiterate one more time, because this is something that'll be referenced quite a bit. I'm sorry for the super retard gorilla writing, but Torah resides in the Spirit because the Torah is Word, and the Word resides in us because the Word was made flesh, right? And Yahusha is the Word. The Word resides in us, Torah resides in us, and that is why the Torah is written on our heart, right? That goes back to the Ezekiel prophecy. I will remove your heart of stone, and I will put in you a heart of flesh. Your spirit sends messages to the soul. Please obey this. Please obey Torah. Please discipline this area of your life. Please discipline that area of your life. Right? Sending all of those messages up here. Now, whether you listen and obey this down here depends entirely on if you are listening to and obeying this right here. Why? Because this also sends messages upwards. We are capable of focusing on the body, right? And what is in our mind actually coming outward, being expressed outward into the world through our tongue, through our actions, through our bodies, all manners of sins. So to be carnally minded To be carnally minded is death, because these two are contrary to each other. Galatians 5:17. They are at war with each other. These two are not friends. They are enemies. This hates this, especially in the new covenant. Hates it. This doesn't necessarily hate it, it just wants it to listen to it. You have to understand that the entire game of the New Testament, the entire game of the New Covenant, is to make these two cooperate with each other by allowing this to be the best mediator that it can possibly be. And the way that you do that is by meditating on Torah, which is now here in your spirit. Come back next time, where we will start to go into, and we'll start with the body. Because this is a big one for guys. Guys need to understand, if you do not control your sexual urges, especially in this modern world, in this modern era, in this modern culture, you are in for a rough life, a rough awakening. So anyways, come back next time for that. Thanks for stopping by. Leave a comment. Peace be with you.